Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Sun Tzu says, "The good fighters of old first put themselves beyond the possibility of defeat, then waited for an opportunity of defeating the enemy. To secure ourselves against defeat lies in our own hands, but the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. Thus, the good fighter is able to secure himself against defeat, but cannot make certain of defeating the enemy. Hence the saying, one may know how to conquer without being able to do it. Security against defeat implies defensive tactics. Ability to defeat the enemy means taking the offensive. Standing on the defensive indicates insufficient strength. Attacking, a superabundance of strength. The general who is skilled in defense hides in the most secret recesses of the earth. He who is skilled in attack flashes forth from the topmost heights of heaven. Thus, on one hand, we have ability to protect ourselves. On the other, a victory that is complete. What the ancients called a clever fighter is one who not only wins, but excels in winning with ease. Hence his victories bring him neither reputation for wisdom nor credit for courage. He wins his battles by making no mistakes. Making no mistakes is what establishes the certainty of victory, for it means conquering an enemy that is already defeated. Hence, the skillful fighter puts himself in a position which makes defeat impossible, but does not miss the moment for defeating the enemy. Thus it is that in war, the victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won, whereas he who is destined to defeat first fights and afterwards looks for victory." Good evening, everyone. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains the master of the deceptive arts, and I return to you once again as the untangled voice of the vasectomites. Today, I wanted us to talk about interracial dating. And I think we should untangle this issue once and for all. Now, I have to say that interracial dating is something that I myself have a little bit of experience with. And of course, all that experience, it has ended up in complete and abject failure. Now, let me start by making my position very clear on the subject of the romance wars and the dark dimension, or what you may have come to know as dating or relationships or legal matrimony, right, which is marriage, and it's not a cultural ceremony or a love romantic ceremony. No. It is an assets combining contract. Marriage is an assets combining contract between you, your spouse, and the national government of your country. Please keep that last part in mind. I said the national government of your country. Should this situation between you and her not work out, the people who are going to decide this is going to be the national government. And of course, they're going to put your feet to the fire and never let you go. Now, for me, my position when it comes to the romance wars and indeed the dark dimension, for me, it's an absolute no. It is an absolute no to any aspect of it. Any aspect of it, I'm completely out the game. I'm completely out the game. So, dating, marriage, relationships, all of that, right? It is a resounding no from me for many, many reasons, for many, many valid reasons, right? For one, all my relationships, even the ones that were interracial, right, or interracial, intercultural, however you want to delineate that, failure, calamity, catastrophe, pandemonium, all the way around, despite all of my efforts, despite how wonderful I am, despite spending good money and time and being, as nurturing, as nurturing as one can be. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to be a cuddly bear. However, and man, I put in some work. And to put in that much work and to achieve that much catastrophe, for me, is an indication that maybe it's the whole thing. How can you pay and work and sacrifice and still fail? Like, you could do one of the two. You could pay and work and maybe make no sacrifices and then fail. But all three, you should be able to succeed. But no, no, no. No, not with this invention. The invention of dating. Or it is such a failed invention, right? But let me give you another reason. When you are successful using this invention, right? It's hard, right? Like when you are successful in relationships, that's what I call it. I call it the invention of relationships, right? Because somebody had to have come up with this nonsense, right? It's hard to make a relationship work. It's difficult. It is like difficult. It's complicated. It's convoluted. It is frustrating. It is tiring. It is expensive. Like, and things take too long. It's expensive. It's frustrating. And then in the end, somebody just decides for whatever the reason. I mean, they don't even have to have a reason. They don't even have to have a reason. And then off they are gone with your entire investment. And there you are, nothing. With absolutely nothing. To me, it's a no. It's a no. You know, and then let's say it works out. Let's say it does in fact work out. And you push through the frustration and whatnot, the fights. What do you get out of it? You know, what do you actually get out of it? What is the reward for this? Now, some of the things that you get, you might see these things as good, but to me, these would probably be the worst possible outcomes for me. When I think of the things that come out of relationships, marriage, the romance wars, the dark dimension, to me, this is the stuff of nightmares. And I'm going to go through it. And I want you to brace yourself. Just brace yourself For the dark dimension, man, is brace yourself, right? When you are successful in relationships, you get someone to share your life with, to share your dreams with, your ambitions, to share your successes. Not only that, you get to also share in their success, in their positivity, in their energy. You get to enjoy their success. You get to celebrate their victories. I would not be able to tolerate not one single one of those things. Not a single one of those things. No, thank you. Absolutely not. Not even for support when I'm down. You know, they say you get somebody that's there to help you and support you, and you get to recover and heal a little bit faster because you have that support structure. I think not. I would rather not. And I'm just being honest. To me, this is the stuff of nightmare. Now, you know I suffered for many tremendous years, and I've opened up to you about my own trepidations with tocophobia, right? Tocophobia, the serious scourge of mankind, the rare condition of tocophobia, not widely talked about. Now, you might be asking yourself, ain't you wrong? What is tocophobia? It's a real thing, by the way. It is the fear of having children. The fear of having children. Now, you might think this is not a serious thing, but it is debilitating. It is debilitating. Do you know when you want to be intimate with somebody, but then you simultaneously really, really, really don't want to get them pregnant, and then you just can't perform? And of course, I have the cure for tocophobia. I wouldn't be bringing it up just to saddle you with my own burdens if I had not overcome them and provided you a strategy. For those of you who may not have heard these words, please listen closely, huddle up. Here's the secret to tocophobia, the cure for the deadliest mental illness known to mankind, humanity, the fear of having children. I have the secret. I have the solution. I'm going to give it to you right now. Freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. Freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. Guys, I'm going to say it every day in every video. And I'm going to try to find different ways to say the same thing. At the very least, I will demonstrate how diverse this group of words is and how it could be used under many various circumstances. But seriously, freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. This is the move, right? This is the move. It's really not going to get simpler than this, right? When it comes to male contraception. Think about it. I'll make videos to discussing it in more detail and so forth, but it really comes down to these two simple moves. You freeze your sperm, you get a vasectomy, the total cost of which is going to be 1,600 US, 1,600 US dollars anywhere on the earth. 1,500, 1,550 for the vasectomy and the urologist. That's the best money you're ever going to spend. And $50 a year to freeze your sperm for an eternity. Also the best amount of money. Also the best amount of money you're going to ever spend. I need to start finishing my thoughts instead of hopping from one thought to the other. I myself have frozen my sperm. I've frozen 1 billion sperm, which is pretty much enough to populate most continents on Earth in a day. But I have frozen a billion sperm, and then I got my vasectomy. I froze the sperm to dissuade my own doubts so that I could still have all my reproductive options, right? And I suggest the same move for you. Freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. This is what the channel is all about. This is what all these discussions are all going to be about ultimately. I mean, I could talk about the moon landing and still tie it to freezing your sperm and get a vasectomy. I might try that. Nah, I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit too far-fetched. But back to interracial dating. By the way, you're on an interracial date with success, freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. Money is not going to save you from these people. I promise you. And I'll demonstrate that as we delineate today's conversation, right? But again, now, here you have a situation, back to the interracial dating. Here you have a situation where you have to start sharing everything. And assuming that this person is as productive as you are, then it's a fair trade, right? But if you are the one that's productive and they are not, then sharing is going to be a problem, especially for someone like me who's a textbook, um, you know, open-hearted narcissist, right? All the way through narcissist. You're not gonna find nothing that's not narcissistic about me, right? Because I hate sharing. Fundamentally, I hate sharing. I could never imagine. I could never imagine sharing my hard-made, hard-earned savings. I could never imagine. People are out here focused on their investments, their portfolios, nothing. Here I am piling up my savings, just piling up my savings, right? And I suggest you do the same. This is the economic advice that I give. Save your money, all of it, all of it. What you want in earnest is you want to have more money than what you need to live on this earth, right? You want to leave money behind. Not because you want to leave something for your family and your lineage, but because you don't want to run out of money and still be alive. You want to run out of time and still have money. You don't want to run out of money and still have time, because those years of time and no money, that gap is terrible. That gap is going to be bad. There's some people who think they're going to have just enough money, and then the day they die, they'll have a dollar or two left over to indicate a fair exchange between time and money. That's not going to happen. What you want to do is you want to stack your money up and lock it away so that you have way more money. Listen, you can always make investments. You can save your money and then invest it later. You can always make investments, and then the money that you make from the investments, you save that, right? So however you move with money, at the end of it, you're going to have to save something. So you're going to sell your shares, and then what you going to do with the money? You're going to save that money, man. You're going to stack it up. You're going to lock it away, right? So make a habit of this. Make a habit of saving your money. Invest, save your money, right? Start a business, save your money. Go to work, save your money. We all ending up in the same place at the end of time, right? So I can't imagine. Buying property, making it work, getting that money, and then paying myself back for the investment of the property, and then starting to enjoy the profits. Because that's how I bought my apartments, by the way. Not the Sanctum, the one before that. No, not that one, the one before that. I could have borrowed money from the bank, but I just borrowed money from myself. Bought the apartment outright, and then started renting it out, and then paid myself back. And then once I had paid myself back, the money that the apartment was generating after that was all profit. I could, spend that and save that. And of course, I saved a lot of it. But yeah, you can actually borrow money from yourself if you didn't know that, right? But I'm not, because can you imagine making moves like that? Right? Economic, legal moves like that, where you borrow money from yourself to invest and then pay yourself back with interest. And that's perfectly legal, by the way. And then having to share that with a counterpart who's just got nothing but debt. Just debt. No way. No way. I'm not losing my savings over somebody's debt. And debt that they got over trying to entertain another person. That's absurd. I could never imagine doing that, let alone sharing my whole life. So that's going to be a real problem for me, this whole sharing thing. Then the next best part is you might have kids. You might have kids that are smart and creative and talented. Some of them might be genuinely funny in like a humorous way, and they might be expressive in like a charming and natural way, you know, and they might have like compassion for other people, but they could go beyond compassion and have a true natural spirit of humanity and respect, but not just respect for others, but respect for themselves, right? Now, that's a complete nightmare. That is a complete catastrophe having a child like that. I don't care what you're telling me. This is literally the problem when you have tocophobia. People think you're worried about having bad kids, right? Or tocophobia, you're scared of those bad kids. You know, no. I'm scared of these good, talented kids that are going to Harvard. You see, now those kids are a problem because you got to put in extra money to protect that ever precious brain, to protect that ever precious talent. Not only that, to grow it, to cultivate it, to mature it. You know, that costs a lot of money. Tutors, extra lessons, sports, keeping this person engaged, transporting them from one place to another as they grow and mature. You got to keep growing. So every few months, you got to buy them a new set of sports equipment, right? Because they're gonna outgrow those shoes, outgrow those shorts, outgrow that equipment, and outgrow that helmet in no time. So every few months you gotta keep buying that new sports equipment, new sports equipment, new sports equipment, trying to, and then the tutors, the extra books, the extra material, the extra man, it's just extras and extras and extras. No way. No, 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 no. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. This is literally tocophobia manifested into human form. Uh, and you might actually get the best in-laws, right? That are rich, just not just financially, but historically. They might have a wealth of knowledge and wisdom, and deep connections. Deep social connections, national connections, and international connections that go back to the old country and even to the ancient ways. Now, I need you to wake up right now. If you are dreaming of achieving any of these things that I consider a nightmare and you might think they are a good thing, I want you to wake up right now because you are dreaming, you are delusional, and you are out of your mind. And you need to stop your nonsense right now and snap out of it. You need to pull yourself together, man. Because you are never getting none of this, not in reality. You think you're going to get a partner who's successful and you're successful and you're going to be successful together, be a power couple. You're out of your mind. You're absolutely out of your mind. You guys are going to bring her savings and your savings. She might have more, you might have a little bit more, but we bring it together and the household has more together. You're insane. You're insane. You're absolutely out of your mind. You're not getting any of this, especially for you international travels. You international men of mystery, the former men of mystery. I remember you guys from the 80s and the 90s. I'm an international man of mystery. Also known as the passport bros. Just a manifestation of the old international bachelor. It's a wonderful life to live. Been there myself, done it, enjoyed it, survived, and now it's your turn. And I don't think you're gonna pull this off. I don't think you're gonna pull this off. And let me tell you what. Let me tell you what. As someone who has dated and had relationships in and out of my own persuasion, population, designation, classification, pigmentation, if you will, I can guarantee you that all you'll find is the same atrocious, scandalous, downright nasty attributes of the counterpart. The insidious, unscrupulous nature of the counterpart. That's all you're going to find. You're going to pay a lot of money to go to the other side of the world just to find another counterpart, right? But the difference is these counterparts, they come in a language that you don't speak, with customs that you cannot follow, laws that you cannot translate, food that you cannot digest. Oh, don't get me started on food. You know, they'll make you wear color schemes that do not mesh with you. You know, they come with traffic that you cannot navigate, in a system that you will never overcome, let alone control. You are completely out of your depth, out of your mind, out of your league, out of your everything. You are completely out of your world. Let me give you an example, a practical example for a lot of guys who like to travel to places like, South America, Asia, certain parts of Africa, North Africa, that kind of thing. In Asia, for instance, they say one doesn't simply marry the girl. You marry her family. One doesn't just simply date the girl. You date her family, right? And let's just take a picture of this family, right? This family portrait. They are the obvious immediate family members, right? The mother, the father, the brother, the sister, right? The grandparents, the uncles, the aunts, the cousins, the nieces, the nephews, and so forth and so forth. We'll come back to that brother, that little brother of hers, right? We'll come back and have a discussion about that little brother. But what you need to know, there's going to be the nieces that are always pregnant. She's pregnant herself right now. 2, 3, 4 nieces pregnant. Nephews in and out of prison selling illicit substances. There's one who's kind of sort of smart, one who's kind of sort of talented, but he's surrounded by riffraff, right? Then of course, let's not forget the grandparents, right? 4 grandparents on either side. So already there you're looking at like 12 people. I promise you. You're already just going to walk through the door and see 12 people probably living in the same roof. Some of them have great grandparents. Oh, man, generations and generations, right? Uncles upon uncles, cousins upon cousins. Then there are the auxiliary family members, right? The stepfathers, the stepmothers, the ex-husbands, my uncle's ex-wife, my aunt's ex-husband, who himself now has a new wife with new kids, right? And so on and so forth. The stepbrother, the stepsister. Now, some of them are older stepbrothers, stepsisters, so they're married with their own families, and they'll bring their kids, 3, 4 kids there, 3, 4 kids there, 3, 4 kids there, right? So now, just by the auxiliary members alone, you're already looking at like 16 additional people, right? Then there are the adopted people, the adopted nieces, the ones whose parents passed away and they just moved her into the family and now she just lives with us, that kind of thing. Then there's the illegitimate children. So many illegitimate children. So there's the children of such and such who dated such and such. So the mother's here but the father's there, or the father's there and the mother's gone. That kind of situation, right? That exists everywhere in Asia. Now look at the population across Asia. Billions of people. That's where it's going down, man. That's where it's going down. If you really want to know where it's going down, it's happening in Asia, Then, of course, there are those that are away in boarding school, in university, away at college, perhaps away in the army. Some are in prison. Some have gone away for rehab. Some have gone to both prison and rehab, right? And all these people, none of them got any money. None of them are working, right? None of them have any money. So they're all going to be looking to you, right? All these people are going to be looking to you, Mr. Passport Bro, Mr. International Man of Mystery, Mr. I came from overseas with my degrees, right? Mr. Oh, I work in the corporation. I do extra time, overtime, every time, right? That extra time, overtime, every time, they're going to take all of it every single time. Every single time. And they're going to look to you for every possible thing. Whatever they need in the house, from furniture to washing machine, appliances, electronic devices, consoles, whatever they need, heaters, fans, air conditioning, dryers, you name it, you're going to be buying. If they want to make home improvements, they need new floors, new tiles, new ceiling, new roof, whatever it is, you're going to be paying for it, right? I promise you that. I promise you that. You get entangled, with an Asian girl. Don't even get her pregnant. You get her pregnant. This is the story. This is the story, right? Then all those like 45 people, right? Not to forget like the neighbors in the village, whatever, or the island, wherever you find it, right? So all those people are gonna come to you for every occasion. For all those people, so you're looking at like 2 birthdays a month, 3 birthdays a month, right? Because there's only 12 months in a year, and you're already looking at like 40 people. So like if you spread that out evenly, that's like 3 birthdays a month, right? So every birthday you're there, right? Every first day of school for every one of those kids, you're there. Every anniversary for every one of those people that are married or divorced or in a relationship or starting or ending a relationship, whatever, everything that they try to celebrate that has to do with their relationship, you're going to have to be there. Not just be there, you're going to have to actually fund the occasion as well as buy the gifts. And everybody who wants to buy a gift, effectively, so what happens is you have to then take out like $100 to give everybody in the family, and then they all then go and buy gifts, right, with your money and put their names on it. And then you also then have to go and buy a gift in addition, because now they're going to say, oh, but why are you not buying any gifts? Everyone else is buying gifts. And you'll be standing there being like, what are you talking about? I literally, this part, the whole celebration is the gift, and I'm paying it. All your gifts are my gifts. No, it doesn't work like that. Like, you still need one with your own thoughts and your efforts over and above. If you think I'm making this up, you need to go speak to somebody who's married to an Asian woman, an Asian counterpart, I beg your pardon. Just go speak to them and find out like where is the bottom. There's no bottom, right? So this will include like religious holidays, national holidays, family gatherings. Family gatherings for all kinds of things, and then there's the gatherings just so the family can gather. There's the gathering for like funerals and that kinds of things, right? And then there's the gatherings where somebody decides, hey, let's have a barbecue next week. Call everyone, come over, let's eat. Drinks on me, whatever. No, drinks are going to be on you. Every ceremony, graduation, so every kind of graduation, right? So not only are you going to attend the graduation, you're going to buy the graduation gown for all the kids, whether they're your kids or not. In fact, even if they're not your kids, you're going to buy the graduation gowns. So, and it doesn't matter what they graduate from. So they could be graduating from kindergarten, and you'll have to buy that city gown or rent it all the way to the PhD. At every single level, you're going to have to be there. So you will become now the de facto father of the family. But the father of the family, he still has authority. So you still have to do what that guy says, but he's not going to pay no money. You are paying all the bills. There was a guy who, he had an Asian family, right? He had an Asian wife. And there was somebody who was going to university, and they called him and said such and such is going to university and they need a laptop. Can the ancient one buy him a laptop? So the ancient one was like, you know what? I have a laptop. I have two laptops. I've got a spare laptop. One that I bought, I thought I needed, I didn't need. It's just sitting here. Let me give him the laptop, right? And then he can use that laptop. It's older, but it's practically brand new. It's practically brand new, but it's a bit of an older model. So it could do with like a software update. A simple software update would do it. You just buy the new version of the software, but the hardware was solid. It was solid. He bought it, spent a lot of money thinking that he was going to have this laptop for many, many years. It just didn't match with his system, so he had to replace it. Gave it to them. 2 days later, laptop is broken. And they're like, we need another one. And he was like, what? They're like, yeah, no, no, no. We need a new laptop. That one, it just broke. It just broke. No, nothing, no explanation. It just broke. Few weeks later, they need a washing machine. What do you mean you need a washing machine? Yeah, they need a new washing machine. What's wrong with the old washing machine? No, there's nothing wrong with it. We just need a new washing machine. Those kinds of things. And I was like, yeah, those are the stories coming out of Asia, man. You know, repairs, all kinds of things. My niece's nephew's cousin wants to start a business. Oh, so many of those. Oh, you'll be part of the business. In some of these countries, they'll make you start a business, but it's illegal for you to own the company. So you'll do everything and fund the business and keep it running, but you'll have to keep it in their name. That's how far it goes. And they'll make you work in that business, and they'll keep all the money. They'll own the business, but you'll be funding the whole enterprise. Oh yes, let's go back to the little brother that we were talking about. Remember that little brother of hers, right? Well, there's a small family secret. Well, it's not really a secret. It's just something that nobody talks about, but it's not really a secret. You see, that little brother of hers, that's not actually her little brother. That's her firstborn son. Yeah, that's her son, right? That's not her first conceived son, but that's her firstborn son. You know, you ever hear these situations? I'm gonna give you an example of this. It's gonna be so familiar to you. You ever hear these situations with these guys? So now they're paying, and they get tired of living in Asia. So they decide, you know what, I'm gonna move back to wherever the hell it is that I came from. So he gets on the plane with his wife and flies away, right? So while they are there living the dream and whatever, the wife has to keep sending money back home every month, sending money back home, sending money back home, right? Sending money back home. And and then it becomes a situation of like, she'll tell you that she's sending money back home to help her parents, have like, a better living condition as they're getting older and whatnot. you know she she'll say something like her family is struggling and it's been difficult. We've been sending money, but the things are just really, really, really getting worse. So can my little brother come and move and live with us over here in La La Land, right? Where all the dreams are coming true, in Instagram land, right? Where all the dreams are coming true, you know. And you might think it through, and she'll say, her family's struggling, and bringing the kid over is not gonna make that big a difference. It's gonna ruin everything, by the way. It's not gonna make that big a difference, but her parents are aging and this will give them some relief. But not only that, you're part of the family now, but also you'll be giving this young man an opportunity and a chance at a better life. And since he's in the family anyway, it's not an investment because we're part of the family, right? No, no. Her family told her to come get her child. Her parents told her there is no way, there is no way. You are out there partying on social media, taking pictures on yachts, riding in private jets, eating caviar, whatnot, while we are stuck here in the middle of nowhere, raising your kid, taking care of your responsibilities? Absolutely not. They said, come and take your child. The money that you've been sending every month is just simply not worth it. Your child is out of control. Child needs his mother to put him back in order and put structure in his life. Right? That's why when that kid is naughty, she just smacks him. Because that's her kid. Right? She's so strict with him, and you're like, hey man, don't treat your brother like that. That's not her brother. You've seen how like she'll just drag him around, just like how mothers treat their kids, right? Just like do what I tell you, and the kid has to do it, and he'll fuss about it, and you'll be like, man, why are you treating your little brother like that? That's not her little brother. That's not her little brother. That's her child. This is what you're getting. This is what you're getting, and this is the part that they don't tell you, right? This is the part that they don't tell you. That's her son, brother. That's her son, brother. That's what comes with these delusions. Thinking you're gonna go to the other side of the world, you're gonna go find something different, something better, right? And in the end, all of these dreams that you have, all these wishes, they're going to come crashing down, and they're going to turn into nightmares. And you're going to face some of the challenges that I've not only described in the monologue, but you're gonna face some of the challenges that we're going to see in today's article. So when it comes to like interracial couples, really the problems are more or less similar, but I have to admit that I imagine there to be more than what they're putting out there. Really, the list can be quite short, and they deviate away so much from the couple themselves, that you have to sort of bring it down to a concise list with deeper explanations, and which is what I went to with today's article entitled Four Unique Problems Interracial Couples Face. This comes from a place called Space to Reflect. Their website is spacetoreflect.com. Of course, there's the link to the article that we're going to read today, but we have the full article. But also, they didn't give any author or any date, so we cannot give them full credit. However, you can, of course, go to their website for more engagement, and that is spacetoreflect.com. The article starts off by saying, if you and your new partner are in an interracial relationship, you might be worried about how the rest of the world will treat you. Maybe you should be. I don't know. I've been in and out of interracial relationships, and I mean there are problems, I suppose, with how the world treats you, but really the problems are more internal than external, right? You're gonna find like there's just people asking for ridiculous things, right? Like they'll tell you, oh, it's traditional for us to have air conditioning in the house. What? Anyway, you both love each other deeply, sure, lots of love. Yet you're concerned that prejudice from wider society and judgment from your family and friends could undermine your connection. Interracial couples, I beg your pardon, certainly face some unique challenges, but this does not mean that you and your partner can't enjoy a bright future together. They said something here about being undermined by family and friends. That's really what you're gonna face. That's really what you're gonna face. Like, so if you're like a foreigner, for instance, and you're dating a counterpart, and her family will say, man, how could you date a foreigner who doesn't even have any money? How are you going to date a foreigner who's not even rich? What's the point of doing that? And then some people will say, well, what's the point of dating a foreigner if she's not like a supermodel? It's like, that's not really how it works. And they'll say, well, why date outside of your, how you say, designation? Why date outside of your delineation, your classification, if you're not gonna be upgrading? And it's like, how do you define an upgrade, right? So people will absolutely undermine you in that way, and then but now you have to ask them, can I see a picture of your girlfriend? We're going to be comparing notes. You should at least bring out your own study material. How much did you get on the last assignment? Oh, okay, you failed. Well, don't judge me, But people can be like that. People can be very judgmental, without having any results of their own. Without having any results of their own, and then you see their results and they are mediocre. If you're both committed to the relationship and you're willing to put the work in, I am not. You can overcome these obstacles. You cannot. There are a few issues that interracial. Here are a few issues that interracial couples may have to deal with, as well as tips on coping with these situations. These tips are going to be ridiculous, by the way. You cannot overcome prejudices, right? By simply being a good person. These things are entrenched in people over years, decades. They live their lives as a prejudice of a thing. So if you come in and you overcome the prejudice from their daughter, this isn't an indication of success, right? It's an indication of rebellion. It's not an indication. So she's going against the status quo, right? It doesn't mean that you have won over the culture. You haven't crossed over the cultural barrier. There's no crossing cultural barriers. Number one is being treated differently based on race. Here we go. In an interracial relationship, I don't know why my tongue is getting tied and twisted around the word interracial. Anyway, that's because it comes with in an internet. That's why I'm getting tongue tied. It's all the ins and ands right at the beginning. In an international relationship, one partner might be afforded certain societal privileges based on their race or gender So you might find that in your culture, the one gender gets preference over another. So some Eastern cultures might put men over women, some Western cultures might put women over men, and you try to bring those things together, calamity, right? Alternatively, both partners might come from disadvantaged groups, yet they may be dealing with different stereotypes and forms of and discrimination. Oh, that's very true. So we always think that it's always going to be somebody from rich and poor, and then that dynamic. But both of you could be from disadvantaged backgrounds and face completely different problems. So something that might be a big issue for somebody over their entire life may be completely nothing to you, and vice versa. So this is a very interesting article already. Very, very interesting. It says, if you experience privileges that your partner doesn't, you might be willing to hear their perspective. Furthermore, it's important to learn about the specific types of prejudice they've dealt with based on their race, so that they can be there, so that you can be there for them if they face discrimination. So, oh, this is very interesting. This is very interesting. Have you seen a situation where somebody says something completely unaware, and then let's say there are two men of Asian descent having a laugh, and there is a woman of South American descent who is also dating a man of Asian descent, right? They might make like what is like a cultural joke, completely oblivious to the fact that this joke insults this woman of South American descent. And then her Asian boyfriend, who understands the cultural norm and the joke and the innocence of the joke. Like he understands that these guys literally have done nothing wrong, right? So they don't even, they are completely oblivious to it. And he will come in and then correct them and tell them, oh, you don't know, but X, Y, and Z is offensive in another country, in another part of the world that you have never been to, know nothing about, and you will probably never ever go to. And if you did, you would never ever see this thing that is described, let alone experience it for yourself. Like I'm talking about complete oblivion. Now he's going to come in and explain to you a cultural dynamic. This is how people get beaten up, by the way. Because you're going to come to people and you know their situation, but you are also aware of a completely different situation that is unrelated to them. And you try and relate these situations. It never works, man. People are going to call you the problem, right? People are going to say that you are the problem, right? So I've seen that happen, especially with interracial couples, where the guy tries to defend the other person's honor, but people have no idea what you're talking about. People don't even know what the circumstance around this issue is. Now you have to explain to them, oh, my partner is from another part of the world, and where they're from, in her small little village where she's a nobody, this is a problem. And we're like, we're not even in that village. We're not even in the village, but yeah, that's what you get from interracial dating. You got to deal with nonsense when you're dating interracially. I was trying to explain this to you. People think, oh, it's all about race. It's not all about race. It's not all about race. It's about trying to fit a dynamic into a situation for which neither of you are fitted in, except for the fact that you're just attracted to each other physically. So it says, don't dismiss your partner's experiences, even if you don't know much about their background. Taking them seriously will help strengthen your relationship. What did I just say? About you know nothing about the situation. It was literally what I just said. And you're going to bring up a situation that people are completely unfamiliar with, just for you to try and show that you are empathetic to somebody's feeling and their disposition. It doesn't make any sense. But this is what you have to deal with. This is what you have to deal with. If you were hoping to date interracially and have no nonsense to deal with, you're just going to get it in a different way. It's just a different kind of salad. Just a different kind of salad. Exploring cultural differences, oh, this is going to be fantastic. Sometimes partners in interracial relationships come from different cultural backgrounds. Oh, yes, and religions. Oh, it is great when you try and assimilate to a new religion that you know nothing about it. It's just pure oblivion, man. Just pure, you're just stumbling all over yourself. Even if you grew up in the same area, you might not have the same upbringing. This is true. Your families may have practiced different religions or upheld certain traditions. You might have also faced or celebrated different things. So you might find that one celebration is important, but it may mean something completely different and nothing to another person. So now you have to celebrate what they celebrate, and they gotta celebrate what you celebrate, and then you gotta like try and pretend to understand, but you really don't get it. You really just don't get it. Like you just going along with it, and you just do whatever they tell you, even if you don't understand the what or the why. It's fascinating stuff, right? It says, I'm going to read that again. Your families may have practiced different religions or uphold certain traditions. You might have also faced different expectations in regard to your future. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So they may have thought she was going to marry a doctor. And there you are, Uber driver. Oh, disaster, disaster, you know? And man, I can't even tell you. They'll be telling her every day she should have married the doctor. Why did you marry the Uber driver? Oh man, you guys gotta get yourselves together. Because people are gonna be like, no, your future should have been different. You know, I'm telling you, like, you're not going to get a situation where it all plays out smoothly. Interracial dating is a whole nother problem. Is a whole nother wherever you go. But for those of you that are curious, you're gonna see her, you're gonna think, look at that woman of European descent. Look at that woman of Asian descent. Look at that woman of African descent. Man, you're gonna get problems. You're gonna date an African girl. Her parents are gonna ask you to buy cows. I'm telling you, you'll be standing there, standing like, why do you need a cow? Why do you need a cow? Don't ask. You just need the cow. And if you don't buy the cows, oh, it's a scandal. It's a scandal. For the rest of your life, they're gonna be like, he didn't even buy one cow. It's going to be a scandal, I'm telling you. And you won't understand, why do I need to buy this farm animal? Why do I need to buy this farm animal? You know? Not all partners in wait, where am I? You might face, okay, yes, the future, right? Not all partners in interracial relationships come from drastically different cultures, but for those who do, you will need to take time to learn about each other's backgrounds, and of course you're never going to achieve this. This is the problem with articles. So lists are so easy to do, because you just stick to the list, you read the list, and then you move on. With articles, you sort of get lost. Where am I? Where did I last stop? You know, because they can be so impactful, but they're structured in a completely different way. But still, we need the information. We need the information, right? But yes, you're not going to learn about your partner's background. How long is that going to take? It took him years to understand this culture himself, and he lived it. Every year they would prepare him for it, teach him about it, remind him about it, prepare him for it, and then unwind him, debrief him afterwards. And you're just gonna come in and what? Assimilate? You're just gonna come in and assimilate over a few months? There's no way you're gonna pull this off. There's no way you're gonna pull this off. It says keep an open mind as your partner teaches you about their culture. This aspect of being in an interracial relationship can be challenging, but diving into new cultures can also be a lot of fun. No, 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 no. Absolutely not. You're going to be miserable. You're going to be standing there being corrected by your partner, telling you what to do. Don't do this, don't do that, do this way, don't do that, start like this, start again, let's do this again, let's practice, let's practice. Like, no, man. I already been through this with my own culture, my own family, my own background. Now I have to start again? Again? No way. Why don't you learn my culture? Why don't I teach you? Right? What I know, this is going to be a problem. This is really going to be a problem. It might be fun once or twice, but in the end, I mean, and what are you going to do? Celebrate both cultures equally, both religions, both backgrounds, both ethnicities? For how long? And then the kids, are they going to do the same thing? Or are you going to do something completely different for the kids? Also remember that most culture is made up. right? So most culture has been made up. Like, let me give you an example. You know the name Patsy, right? Somebody says, "Oh, you're a patsy. You missed your opportunity. You're a patsy," right? That comes from Italy, like in the 1400s, where one of the members of the Pazzi family tried to assassinate Lorenzo de Medici, Lorenzo the Magnificent, Il Magnifico, and of course he missed. And because he missed, he was then found and executed, and the Pazzi family and the name was disgraced throughout history. So when you do something, there was a time when you did something foolish, right? You missed your shot, or you tried to go big, or you tried to be smart, and you embarrassed yourself, and people would say you're a patsy, right? That's where that comes from. Now, if you don't know that, if you're not in a culture where they'll tell you that story. So if you don't know the story of the Patsies, you might not be able to get the cultural reference. You might not be able to understand what that person talks about. You might assume that Patsy means like somebody who's incompetent and is a fool. You might be able to make that association, but you won't get the full reference. This is how culture is formed. Like you need to be there in the moment, or you need to be or you need to be able to relate to the moment somehow. And you might understand the words, but you probably are going to miss the whole cultural reference, right? And this is the problem with this, right? Trying to learn a new culture and make it fun. You might end up celebrating additional holidays. Yeah, you're probably going to double your holidays, right? Learning delicious recipes or undelicious ones. You could eat some terrible food or some food that doesn't agree with you, right? I dated a counterpart who, whatever she made me feel bloated, and it made me gain a lot of weight, but I had to eat it anyway. She was very untalented. But, you use like positive reinforcement. You tell somebody how good they are at cooking, and all they do is cook more. When they're not very good at it at all. In fact, they're quite terrible. But what can you do? What can you do? So you might get some delicious food, or you might get something that you cannot tolerate for a single moment. Or even pick up some words and phrases in your new language. Trying to learn a new language as an adult is a problem. It's really a problem. You have to do it as like a hobby, something that you're interested in, something on the side, like learning a new instrument. You may or may not use it. It may or may not be useful. Key phrases are always important, but overall, you're going to miss a lot of nuance. Language can have a lot of nuance. If you're really truly planning on learning a new language as an adult, you need to give yourself around 10 years. You're not going to master the basics in less than 5, right? And even then, you need to be in a place where you can practice consistently. But just thinking you're going to learn it socially because you love someone, that's not how life works. Not when you're an adult. Once you're an adult, you're kind of set, right? So you're not fluid anymore. That's why they teach you these things when you're young, so that when you're older, you have something to anchor you. And then when somebody comes and tries to teach you some new skills, some new, some new culture, a new religion, you look at it and you respect it for what it is, but really, it's not going to be the same. When you're young, when you're raised in a religious environment and you're young, your faith runs deep, man. You can't just turn that off or ask someone to turn that off. you know so it's very difficult to make that request and for people to honor it, even if they love you, right? So just keep that in mind when you're trying to date outside of your own, designation, as it were. For somebody who might be watching this video, you might think that I'm disparaging from interracial relationships all on their own. No, 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 no. I'm disparaging of all relationships. Again, I think the whole thing is a problem, right? But then I think that people who have relationship problems in one dynamic think they can just flip the whole dynamic, go somewhere else, and eliminate all those relationship problems as if those people don't have people. Hey man, all people got people. People come from people. That's how you get people. So you can't go somewhere and say, I'm going to get there and meet somebody with no people. You're not going to find no one with no people, man. You got people, they got people, we all got people. you know. And if you try and move them away from their people, that's when they're going to expose you. That's when they're going to expose you. Suddenly, it's her little brother coming to live with you. And you look at him and you're like, man, he looks nothing like you. You know why? Because he looks like his daddy. Number 3, dealing with prejudice from social circles. Maybe your family has expressed some prejudiced views in the past, and now you're nervous that they will react poorly when you introduce your partner. They may not have any friends who share your partner's background, and you're hoping they'll give them a fair chance. Alternatively, you might be anxious about meeting your partner's family. Let's talk about stereotypes, shall we? The things that you see on television. Now, here's the problem with stereotypes that people don't want to accept. A stereotype is true. A stereotype is only a stereotype because it's true. Because it's true repeatedly, right? So, particular type of people are going to listen to a particular type of music at a particular type of time. It is known. So, you need to know the reputation. You need to know the reputation of your people, of your particular ethnicity, your designation, your classification, your persuasion. You need to know what your people are doing, and then you can't deny it because it's going to come up. It's going to come up, and you're going to act like you don't know nothing about what the people are doing from where you come from, when in fact, you know all about it, right? You know all about it. So this article is exposing a lot of things, you know. And so one thing that we know is that like there's a stereotype for certain people to be stereotypical against other people, and both and vice versa. So if you're walking into that type of situation, I suggest you be in your best behavior, and you bring forth your best manners. Bring a gift. Bring a gift. But don't suppose that bringing that gift is going to remove a lifetime of, of stereotypes. Generations and generations of stereotypes, right? That we've seen on TV, on the internet. We've seen them play out in real life. We've read about them. We've heard about them. We've witnessed them. And we've had people tell us that they have done this or experienced these things from their own mouth, right? So you need to know what is what. Know thyself. I say know thyself. I say it all the time. If you don't know yourself and what your likeness does, that's going to be a problem, because you're going to walk into a situation and you won't know whether to follow suit or catch them off by surprise by simply pretending that you are other than, right? And that people need to see you other than how they see you. That's going to be a problem. That's really going to be a problem because it's going to be a strategic flaw on the one side, but also on the other side you're going to seem very pretentious. you're going to seem very, very pretentious, right? So it's one thing for you to say, no, I don't listen to that type of music, but I do listen to music, right? So then they'll say, oh, so you like this type of music instead of that particular type of, you know what kind of music I'm talking about, right? Instead of that particular type of music, oh, okay, right? But you cannot then deny having heard that music because everybody's heard that music. Because everybody's heard that music, right? So you can't then say, no, 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 I don't know nothing about that music. You just say, I mean, from time to time here and there. But really, you need to be more prepared for people's stereotypes. If you're going to be in an interracial relationship, yeah, that is a bit of a tongue twister. You are going to have to live up to the stereotype. You're going to have to at least maintain the positive parts of the stereotype. But for you to pretend that the stereotype does not exist, that's going to seem very pretentious also, right? So you need to know thyself. Alternatively, you might be anxious about meeting your partner's family, and sometimes these anxieties can extend beyond your respective families and apply to your friends too. It's not always easy to introduce your partner to your family and social circle when you're in an interracial relationship. In an in You're in an interracial relationship. Man, that doesn't roll off the tongue very easily. I thought it would, but it really doesn't. Yeah, you could introduce your girl to your boys and they'll try and steal her. That's also a problem. Like, you must understand that something like there is a bit of an attraction to dating outside of your boundaries, right? Trying, even if you do it all the time, but there is something about it. There is some nuance, some desirability about it. So when people who may secretly desire to explore further, and I think everybody does, if they see you exploring further, they may be tempted to do the same thing too, you know. And rather than make the effort to go out there and seek something, they may just see what they like right in front of them. If you find someone attractive, you must be certain that other people are going to find that person attractive too, right? And those people could very well be your friends. So on the one hand, you might be shy about introducing your partner to your friends. On the other hand, you might know that your friends are up to no good, right? So you might be inclined to stay away. Sun Tzu says you can only be sure of your travels if you go to places where you have no enemies. You can only be sure of your defenses if you hold places which cannot be attacked, and you can only be sure of your attack if you attack places that are not defended. So if you take your girl to meet your friends, you are inciting a challenge. And I would not do that. Right? Now that might be suspicious and she might think, well, why wouldn't you do that? Why would you? Why would you? Why would you think taking your girl to meet your friends is a good idea? Who told you this? Who told you this strategic flaw? Keep your girl away from your friends, man. Even if she gets suspicious, I'd rather her be suspicious than her have an affair with one of my boys. Really, that's just unacceptable. I don't do that. I really don't do that. I don't introduce, if I'm in, well, at least I didn't. The last relationship that I was in, I didn't introduce her to anyone. Not a single person. And she didn't like that. And I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. I'm not gonna set myself out. I'm not gonna set myself out. I'm also not going to places where the people are richer than me, more powerful than me, taller than me, more handsome than me, more physically better than me. I'm not taking her anywhere where there's somebody that's better than me. The only people that are going to be dealing with us is going to be me, her, and this waiter, who I out earn tremendously. Right? So she's just going to look at the situation and see where the advantage is. But I'm not taking her somewhere where I have to prove my advantage against another person's advantage. No way, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever strategically, right? So why would you introduce your girl to your friend? Why would you introduce her to anyone? Seriously, now they're going to be exchanging numbers. Oh, yeah, let me see you on Instagram. No, absolutely not. Absolutely. Oh, well, let's follow each other. Nope, 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 no, no, no. Unacceptable. You should not know they exist. They do not know you exist, right? Neither of you know each other exists. That's the best case scenario, right? Where are we? Having your partner's back is key in some. I just lost myself. Having your partner's back is key. There we go. Dash. That's not a hyphen. That's a dash. I know that a hyphen connects things together and a dash separates information or indicates a missing of information. So, dash, if someone makes a derogatory comment, you need to step in and stand up for your partner. They should do the same for you. This happens to me all the time, by the way. When I'm reading something and I see a piece of punctuation, and my brain goes straight to how it is defined and what its function is, and then I freeze, which is unintentional because I really don't want to have any dead air during the recording, but I freeze because now I'm processing multiple thoughts at the same time. I'm defining two, three, four, five things simultaneously. So I do need a split second to think from time to time, but not too often. Usually I'm just thinking on the go. This is the problem that I described earlier on, where the two Asian men and men of Asian descent and the lady of South American descent were, where she realized that they were saying something that would otherwise have been deemed appropriate in her country, but they didn't even realize that they had said anything improper or, unpolite. But there you are now jumping in to stand up for somebody. You got to stand up against your own people for an outsider because the outsider has something that happened to them in their designation that is, a problem over there. But here, it's not only not a problem, it doesn't mean anything. It's like discussing the weather, right? So we may be discussing the weather and say something about the weather, and she might say, "Oh, that phrase is an insulting phrase where I come from," and we are like, "What?" You know what I mean? You're gonna come here and correct me when I'm talking about the weather. That's unacceptable, right? When what you should be doing is explaining to your partner that no, that is not actually an insult. What that is you misunderstanding another person from another culture, and you should be minding your own damn business. That's the correct response to the situation. But what you do is you feel like you got to stand up for your partner, and then you go and you instigate other people, and that's how people get beat. Because now you're correcting the wrong person. Because it's not them who have misunderstood their culture or your partner's culture. It is her who has misunderstood them, and it is you who has failed to explain the misunderstanding. Particularly because you have both sides of the equation. So you should be able to explain to her that, you know what, if you're having twins, 1 plus 1 does equal 5, right? That this equation works out. 1 plus 1 does equal 5, right? And she might think that 1 plus 1 is supposed to equal 2. No, right? So, and then you might want her to do the same thing. So you might feel insulted by something and expect her to stand up for you, and she might not even know what you're talking about, right? I mean, this is difficult to do. This is difficult to do even in the best circumstances, and misunderstandings happen all the time. All the time. You might see somebody smiling as an indication that they like you, when actually it's an indication of desperation. And what they're hoping for is that you give them some money. Like, there was a situation where a guy said he had a celebration for the family, right? And he paid for the whole thing, give them the money for the gifts, paid for the food, paid for the music, paid for everything, right? Everything, the whole family. And then the family left where they were to come over to the celebration. And they got upset that he didn't give them the money for the trip. So he had everything, the food. All they had to do was move themselves from A to B. And they got upset that they had to pay to come to this party, to drink his drink and eat his food and listen to his music and dance in his house. They got upset that he didn't pay them the money for the trip to get there. And they demanded that he give them the money so they can go home again. Imagine that. This is what you get. This is really what you get. And you're going to expect your partner to stand up for you. But she was like, and she might understand. She might understand, both sides of the equation. And so she might pull you aside and say, you know what, could you just give them like $20? Or whatever it is that they need, and then convert it, and it's like 1,000 or whatever, $30 is like 1,000 baht, right? In Thailand and some places like that. So, she might say, can you give them like 1,000 baht, which is like $30. It might mean very little to you, but it'll mean a lot over there, right? Or it'll mean something over there. And you might do that, and they might be like, we want 3,000 baht. And you'll stand there and be like, the nerve. And they will feel entitled. They will feel like, if you don't do it, what is wrong with you? You are the one who said you wanted to join the family. And this is the cost of joining the family. Right? You really need to take this into consideration. If you think you're going to get there and live the dream, oh man, you got a nightmare waiting for you. You got to be a bachelor for life, man. The bachelor life is the only way through. But even that only gives you a choice for a short period of time. You got to decide, are you going to bend that knee? Because that's what you're getting when you bend that knee. Or you're going to get a vasectomy. This is the choice. It's vasectomy or bend that knee. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, or you, my friend, will bend that knee. And if you have kids with her, forget about it. If you think you are paying without those kids, you still have the option of saying no. The minute the kid is born, every single cent is they're going to be like, we're coming over to see the kid, pay us. We're coming over to bring something for the kid, pay us. The kid needs this. You're going to be paying for the kid to get a spaceship to go to the moon. They'll tell you the kid needs a spaceship and you're going to pay for it. I'm telling you, freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. This is the solution. This is the solution. The last one is planning your future, or what future. If you and your partner want to have kids, or wasn't I just talking about those kids? Oh, get ready for this one. You may have lots of questions about how to raise mixed race children in a world that is not always accepting. You're going to have problems. You are going to have cultural dynamic problems with raising your kids, especially when it comes to religion. Oh, it's going to be a very, very, very big problem. It's going to be a huge, you cannot have a child with two religions. That's not going to happen. Or two cultures. One of those cultures is going to have to be the dominant culture. So there's going to be one where they know about it, but then there's going to be one that they live and they practice. And your family, if your culture is the one that loses in this dynamic, in this romance wars, this is why I call it the romance wars. You're fighting for power on all sides. If your culture is the one that loses, in this cultural dynamic, this cultural marriage war. Your family is never going to let that go. Your family is not going to let it go that you let their grandson be raised in a different religion, despite the fact that they are multicultural, multifaceted. They're going to demand that the child knows something about who they are and where the child comes from. Really, that's really the situation. Like, I mean, for me, any interracial relationships, I had to praise myself there for that one. They've all ended in calamity, and there were no children. I can only imagine. I can only imagine the dynamic that you're gonna face once they are interracial kids. Man, man, man. I don't even want to know. No matter which situation you look at it, no matter how you mix up the designation, the combinations, right? It's always going to be a difficult one, especially religiously and culturally, right? Additionally, you might be undecided about where to live if you're searching for somewhere truly inclusive. If you're both having trouble making a decision about your future, talking to a therapist who regularly works with interracial couples, nailed it, can help you navigate these choices. Yes, so, most people live close to their families or live close to one or the other cultures. So if there's two of you and you're from this culture and she's from that culture, you're not going to live in the middle. You're going to live closer to one and closer to the other, which means you'll be more accessible to one and more accessible to the other. It's going to be very difficult choosing where you're going to live, right? And which schools your kids go to and what they do on religious days. And so now what happens if you practice one religion and you won't let go of your religion, but you are okay with every other member of your family practicing their religion? Then they see you practicing something that is outside of them. That has a tremendous and profound impact on a child. Watching their parent be isolated in something that is important to them and then leave them out of it and then come back and say that you cannot be part of this with me. You are not included in this very important, very serious practice that I have, that I keep, and that I will not let go for any reason. And then you say to the kids, but you're the most important thing to me. And that is a contradiction. That is going to be seen as a pure contradiction. So it's really one of the struggles that you can see. It's predictable, man. It's really predictable. And I don't know how a therapist is going to help with this. You talk about it, all you're going to do is argue about it, right? And then finally, are you and your partner struggling to cope with the challenges that come with interracial relationships? Working with a therapist can help. Reach out to us to discuss your options for scheduling your first session. And then, of course, these are the people over at spacetoreflect.com. That's www.spacetoreflect.com. This was a very nice article that I enjoyed reading. You see, I'm conflicted. On the one hand, I really like the lists, but on the other hand, I'm really enjoying the articles. In truth, I just like reading. I always have, right? So that's why I just do it. It's so it comes so naturally to me. It's something that I enjoy. I enjoy practicing it. I enjoy being good at it. And I hope I am. I hope I am. I know I mispronounce so many things and so many people's names. But this was a very, very good article and very insightful. So if you are a passport bro, if you are an international man of mystery, and you believe that you can leave your home country, go somewhere and find something different, something new, something better, then what you have, I'm telling you, all you're going to do is just walk into a new and different dynamic and a new and different problem. And you're going to find that there are people that are ready to demand more of you now that you are outside of your designation, your traditional designation. They're going to demand so much more of you than what would otherwise have been demanded had you just stayed where you are. This is part of the reason why people don't actually date interracially. It's not like there is a disapproval for pigmentation and that kind of thing. It's really not like that. There is so much more that comes to it, right? So much more that people really don't talk about it. Personally, I'm of the notion that you're going to fail. You're going to fail. Listen to me. Listen to me. If you failed with people of your own designation, own classification, own background, own historical significance, religious significance, and so forth, if you fail with your own people, you're going to fail out there too. I mean, it's so predictable. It is predictable. How? How are you going to pull that off? You don't even know what they are saying to you half the time. You don't, I mean, 99% of the time. And the little that you do know, you know when you speak a language and you think you're good at it, but you sound like a baby. You're still speaking baby Thai, man. You know, there's a 4-year-old who speaks better Thai than you because he's got it within him, right? So you're really going into a situation where you have a tremendous disadvantage. And I think if you're going to be dating interracially, and I mean if you're doing it casually, at least you're going to need to freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. You are really going to need to freeze your sperm here and get a vasectomy. I'm telling you, you try and raise interracial children. Oh my God. I mean, it is one thing to raise kids where you know where you're born, where you're used to everything, where you saw everything evolve and you understand the nature of things, the climate, the weather, the seasons, the birds, the bees, the trees, right? You understand all of that and you leave that and you go somewhere else. I'm telling you, you're going to face calamity. You are absolutely going to face calamity. And I, for one, would love to hear all about it. I would love to hear all about it. You know, there are people who really don't say enough about these things. And you know, if you're putting out videos about your challenges of interracial relationships, especially about how you're getting ripped off and made to pay for everything, like I'll watch those videos and I'll really enjoy them. I'll really enjoy them because you know they burst the bubble in a lot of delusion. And reality is a very firm and fertile place for bursting the bubbles of delusions. So, you know, keep it real. Keep it real. Face reality. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. Think about it. Ponder it for some time. And you'll come to realize that that's really the move to make. That's really the move to make. And that's your best option. But yes, this is the end of the video. And I'd like to thank you again for your time, your patience, your understanding. I really appreciate it. And in truth, I always will. Please, if you have liked this video, please like it. Please share it with somebody, one of these passport bros who honestly thinks they're going to go out there and find something different. Please share this reality with these passport bros. Bring them back down to earth, right? They need to land that plane and come back down to earth. Also, please leave a comment to remain part of the conversation, and I promise I will respond to as many of those as I possibly can. Again, I'd like to thank you for your time. I'm the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, and I'm wishing you a lovely day.